This week we're going to be learning about long division, and there are just a few key vocabulary words to know. When we refer to the dividend, that is the number that is being divided. So in 24 divided by 6, we are splitting up 24. The divisor is the number doing the dividing. So we are dividing 24 into 6 equal groups, so 6 is the divisor. And then the final answer we call the quotient, just kind of fancy word for answer to a division problem. To set the same problem up as a long division problem, we would first kind of build this little house. Inside the house always goes the dividend, the number being divided, so 24. The divisor, the number doing the dividing, goes outside of the house, and then when we're done solving, the quotient is going to be on top. Now we're going to actually practice solving division problems using long division. First step is to always come up with an estimate. If you look at 63, it's pretty close to 60, and I know that 60 divided by 3 is 20, so I'm guessing somewhere in the 20 range. All right, now to actually set up this problem, the dividend, the number being divided, goes inside the house, and the divisor, the number doing the dividing, goes outside the house. So we first start by asking ourselves, how many times does 3 go into the number 6? How many groups of 3 are in 6? And the answer is 2. 3 times 2 equals 6. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm left with 0. The next step is to bring down the next digit in line, which is that 3. Now I ask myself, how many times does 3 go into 3? That's just one time. 3 times 1 is 3. I subtract, I'm left with nothing, and there's nothing left to bring down, so I'm done. My quotient, the final answer, is 21. And when I compare that to my estimate of 20, that's pretty close. I could do quick inverse operation 21 times 3 to see if I get back to my initial dividend of 63, and I do. So I've compared my answer to my estimate, and I worked backwards, and those were both checks that I got the answer correct. Let's try another one, 86 divided by 7. If I were estimating, I know that 12 times 7 is 84, so I'm guessing somewhere in the 12-ish range. To set up the problem, the number being divided, 86, goes inside the house, and the number doing the dividing, 7, goes outside the house. All right, now I'm ready to divide. 7 goes into 8 one time. 7 times 1 is 7. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1. And then I bring down the next digit, 6. Now I'm looking at 16 and asking myself, how many times does 7 go into 16? Or how many groups of 7 are in 16? And that's 2 full groups. 2 times 7 is 14. I'm going to subtract 16 minus 14, which gives me 2. And I'm done. There's no more digits to bring down, but what I call this 2, what's left over, is the remainder. So the mathematically correct way to write the answer to this problem is 12 remainder 2. There are 12 groups of 7 and 86 plus a remainder of 2. We'll teach you later on how to turn remainders into decimals, which is something we do sometimes. If I wanted to do a quick check, I can multiply 7 times 12, which is, I know is 84, that's a fast fact, and then add my remainder, 84 plus 2, and that gives me 86, back to where I started. Let's try another one, 79 divided by 8. If I were estimating, I know that 80 divided by 8 is 10, so somewhere close to 10 is my estimate. I'm going to actually set this problem up now. 79 is being divided, so it goes inside the house. 8 is doing the dividing, it's the divisor, so it goes outside of the house, and now I'm ready to divide. 8 goes into 7 0 times, because 8 is bigger than 7. So there are 0 full groups of 8 that would fit inside 7. So now I have to look at 79, and this is where I'm going to have to do either some mental math or some calculation on the side. If I know that 8 times 10 is 80, then that means I can only fit 9 groups of 8 into 79. And I know that 8 times 9 is 72. So I can subtract. 79 minus 72 is 7. And because there's nothing left to bring down, I'm done. So 7 is my remainder. So I would say this answer is 9, or I'd say the quotient is 9 remainder 7. So there are 9 full groups of 8 within 79 plus 7 left over. And I can work backwards to check. If I'm saying that I have 9 groups of 8, 9 times 8 is 72. Plus I have a remainder of 7, so 72 plus 7 takes us back to 79, or our dividend where we started. First, come up with an estimate and then try to solve this problem on your own. I know that 80 divided by 4 is 20, so I'm guessing somewhere in the 20 range. To actually solve this, I asked myself, how many times does 4 go into 8? And that's 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 8 is 0. Bring down this 1. Now I have to ask myself, how many times does 4 go into 1? And that's 0 times, because 4 is bigger than 1. So there are 0 full groups of 4 that will fit inside 1. So I'm done. My final answer, or the quotient, is 20 remainder 1. And if I wanted to check my work quickly, I could say, okay, 20 times 4 equals 80. And then 80 plus 1 is 81. And that checks out. That gets me back to where I started. All right, come up with an estimate and then solve 252 divided by 3. Okay, if I were estimating, I would probably think 240 divided by 3, because I know that 24 divided by 3 is 8, plus the extra 0 is 80, so I'm guessing somewhere in the 80 range. Now to actually solve, I asked myself, how many times does 3 go to 2? And that is 0 times. And I'm really careful to line up each answer in my, or each digit in my quotient right above the number that I'm dealing with. So like that 0 goes right above the 2, because there are 0 groups of 3 that fit inside 2. Now I'm looking at 25. 3 times 8 is 24, 3 times 9 is 27, 27 is too big. So 3 times 8, which is 24, I'm going to subtract, left with 1, and then I bring down the 2. 3 goes into 12, 4 times exactly. 3 times 4 is 12. I subtract, and I'm left with 0, and there's no other digits to bring down, so my final answer, the quotient, is 84, which if I compare that to my estimate, 80 is pretty close. I could do the inverse operation quickly. 84 times 3. 3 times 4 is 12, drop a 2, carry plus 1. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25, so that is 252, where I started. I am good to go.